Yesterday, Nova Scotia brought in some strict new wildfire restrictions due to the ongoing hot and dry weather, which is banning people from entering the woods to do things like camp outside designated areas or hike, fish, or even ride ATVs. Violations carry a big fine of $25,000. And there's more news. Today, the province announced its long-term transportation plan, a 20-year vision to tackle gridlock and improve all transportation methods like ferry service and even commuter rail. At the same time, our guest today, Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston, was just part of a meeting with the Prime Minister and his fellow provincial leaders to talk about trade and tariffs. Premier Houston, thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Jesse.
Why don't we begin with the dry conditions? There's a lot of people talking about this ban that came into place yesterday, and a lot of people don't like it. This is the time of year they want to get into the woods and take part in outdoor activities like hiking and fishing and even do so responsibly, like, say, at Duncan's Cove. But why do you feel like this ban of going into the woods is justified now?
Yeah, this is a difficult decision. I'm a Nova Scotian too. I love to be outside all around, but certainly in the summertime as well. These are really difficult decisions. But look across the country, over 750 fires burning in Canada, all kinds of evacuations, destruction of personal property, people losing their homes. It's not that long ago, just 2 years ago in this province, we had severe damage and incredible loss of property. So we're looking at that. We're looking at the extremely dry conditions we have here in the environmental forecast. There's no rain in sight, no significant rain in sight, and listening to the experts. So, you know, this isn't just the Premier sitting around his office one day thinking, well, here's an idea. Why don't I keep people out of the woods? We're actually listening to the experts who say, like, the risk is very, very high. The risk is going to increase. So we're taking the preventative measures now. We could take these steps while we're fighting fires, while we're dealing with disaster, or we could try to get in front of it. So we're just asking Nova Scotians to understand the risk and just work with us as we stay in front of it and try to protect lives, and try to protect property, and just try to protect what we have here in this province.
It certainly might not be a popular decision right now, but it sounds like, hearing from you, it's the right decision at the time. Was there any thought, though, of just going with handing out, say, fines for people who are maybe starting a fire or showing risky behavior, or is it just too hard to police that and needed a blanket ban instead?
Well, I think a lot of the time, you know, some of these things are accidental. You know, we had fires last week that were, it was actually, the fires started 2 days after somebody had a campfire which they extinguished, but because it was so dry and it wasn't fully extinguished, and the fire had traveled down into the root system and it popped up elsewhere. So, you know, even people, you don't have to be malicious. It can just be just a mistake, right? So we're just trying to protect our province, and really, you know, staying out of the woods, it sucks. It really does. But, you know, losing a bunch of houses to a fire, that sucks even more. So it's just the hand we're dealt right now. We just need to stay in front of this. We just ask people to cooperate and do their part and do their own sacrifice, which might mean you can't go camping in the backcountry. It might mean you can't go for a hike. But hey, it's what we're dealing with, and we just have to deal with it. Nova Scotians are good at dealing with these things too.
Sure. So the ban just came into place. I'm assuming there's been no fines issued yet, but it is a steep fine, $25,000. It's significant.
Yeah, it's you know, it's a deterrent for sure, and we haven't issued. I don't know that we've issued in the last 24 hours since this went into place, but certainly we have issued $25,000 fines for people who have been ignoring the ban that's been in place. So
it's been done before.
I believe in Nova Scotians. I know people care about this province, and I know they'll do the right thing, and we're just giving them some guidance on what that right thing is, and I have great faith in Nova Scotians, and we'll get through this, and the rains will come at some point, and we can go back to normal. We're praying for those rains to come sooner rather than later, but in the meantime.
Okay, let's shift.
The weather forecast is not great.
Let's shift to that long-awaited regional transportation plan that was released today. Said to be a first of its kind here in Atlantic Canada. In the short term, is there anything within this plan that you see that'll help deal with the massive congestion issue that's arisen here in the Halifax region?
Yeah, traffic is a concern. Anyone who's been traveling, certainly on HRM, they're dealing with traffic. So I think there's a couple of things. There's certainly some longer-term goals and issues we have to do. Construction takes time, but there's some short-term things as well. So I think as we really look at bus lane usage as an example, people sit in traffic sometimes and they just eye up that bus lane just sitting there empty. Maybe we can use that for more high occupancy vehicles, more carpooling type lanes that you would see in other areas. I think there's great opportunities around technology to synchronize lights. We all know you hit a red light and then you go block and you hit another red light, and so maybe we can use technology and some artificial intelligence that exists to really monitor traffic in real time and say, hey, this particular street is backed up. Let's turn all the lights green for a certain period of time so we can get some people moving. Now, of course, that would, if you're on a side street and you're trying to get onto the main thoroughfare, might annoy you a little bit. But these are the types of things we have to work through and think through. Is how can we use technology? How can we use the infrastructure that we have to get people moving? Well, we build new infrastructure, and we're committed to building that new infrastructure too. But to everyone sitting in traffic, I feel your pain too. We all feel it, and we know we need to do things, and that's the steps we're going to take.
To the virtual meeting with the Prime Minister and the Premiers this afternoon, what came out of that meeting? Is there anything you can share with our viewers?
Yeah, so I think, one thing, it was mainly tariff focus for sure, and I have great faith in the Prime Minister and the team that are there representing us at the table. There is still active negotiations. Everybody had kind of hoped for a deal for August 1st, but we can't accept a bad deal just for the sake of getting a deal. We need to do what's right for the country, and I have great faith in the team that's there. The Prime Minister, Minister LeBlanc, the Ambassador. There's a whole team of people that are there. They have a lot more information than we have as citizens, and I trust them to make the right decisions. So that was part of the discussion. I do feel that there is momentum on that, positive momentum. So we encourage that to continue. And then at the same time, what is within our control, and that's the infrastructure projects, the nation building projects. We have a great one here from Nova Scotia with our offshore wind, our Wind West, and collectively across the Atlantic region, the Eastern Energy Partnership to move, to transmit the energy to markets and stuff. So these are great opportunities for our region and certainly for Nova Scotia. So we're excited about what's possible in the nation building program, project possibilities. So that's the nature of the discussion. I appreciated the discussion.
They'll continue,
the Prime Minister
obviously,
wanted to keep the Premiers up to date on what was happening.
I want to go back to the gridlock. We've got time for one more question here, and I wanted to see this transportation plan. If during your campaign you had mentioned commuter rail, you'd mentioned things like promises like taking the tolls off the McDonald and McKay Bridge, which you did. Is there any indication that removing those tolls has helped congestion or even made it worse?
Well, I would say that, when that was first announced, I had a lot of feedback from people in different parts of the province specifically. Why are you taking the tolls off those bridges? And I used to say, look, there's over 3,000 bridges in the province that are free and 2 that aren't, and now they're all free. But I mean, now the feedback I'm getting an incredible amount of feedback on people just saying that their journey was a little smoother is one part of it. I do think it's moving traffic better. I also think mentally this turned out to be a more significant move than I realized. I actually heard from a lot of people that said the move kind of made it one city, that there was this kind of mental barrier that you had to pay to get from one part of the city to the other. It was just this barrier that was there, and a lot of people have commented that wow, that's because it was on our shoulders and we didn't realize it, and now it's off. So, we were always revisiting these things, but I think that turned out to be a good decision. I make other decisions that we revisit and change, but I think this one turned out to be a good one.
Real quickly, while we're talking, sorry, Premier, really quickly while we're talking about bridges, is there any thoughts of putting a third bridge across the span of the Halifax Harbour, or even say the Bedford Basin, part of this long-term 20-year plan? Is that something you're hearing?
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, that's under review for sure. I mean, certainly the bridges we have, we look at the age of them. So do they need to be replaced? Do we need to replace it bigger? Do we need to replace it with another bridge? But I think certainly the crossings across the harbour are part of the longer-term review that's taking place. No question about that.
All right. Thank you, Premier Houston. We'll have to leave it there for time, but let's pick up this conversation again sometime soon. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, that's Premier Tim Houston speaking to us today from his office in downtown Halifax. We've got more news on the way. Stay with us.